Well, welcome to Cambridge Inside Out. I'm Robert Winters,
Judy Nathans.
and today is September 24th, 2019.
That's right.
And, just to scare people a little bit, I'll mention it's exactly 6 weeks to the municipal election.
Municipal.
Right.
Should we care about national? Is there anything going on nationally?
Nationally, again, I'm not a person
Yeah.
who's been thinking it would be strategically wise to impeach the president, but
Well,
as of today,
I think everybody.
I think go ahead, do it.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So that's
Gave her
definitely in
speech,
the
I
news.
saw it, was at 5 o'clock.
Yeah. So we're talking about
Once
Nancy
Pelosi's on board. it's-
Yeah, and doing it not because the squad said so,
No,
but
no,
because
she,
it just
she
seems now.
she's protecting the democracy or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think when you start conflating international politics and national defense with people's personal election vendettas,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that crossed the
And-
line
and
for
we,
me.
We didn't elect a king or a dictator.
No,
We
no.
elected a
No
president.
monarchs.
Follow the law.
Follow the law. So
And
anyway,
the money.
so with 6 weeks, 6 weeks to go to the elections.
Or the local election.
The local elections, the yard signs definitely are sprouting everywhere.
Yes, I've seen some where I didn't expect to see so many, which is
Yeah.
good for that candidate.
Yeah.
I won't say.
I haven't had signs in my yard for a bunch of years, but they were, a bunch of years ago I used to have everybody's put
Are you
signs there. It was
just
kind of
putting
fun.
those signs? You want to be neutral?
I'm kind of deciding about it now. I think
You
I'm
might as
feeling
well.
I'm feeling a little less neutral this year.
Oh.
But it was funny. But you're all saying like I have just to scare people.
Uh-oh.
Remember?
Oh my gosh, you still have stickers from that?
See, this is from 1993. Right?
And look at that
And look at
fancy
that.
bottle
Still
you
works
just
great.
got.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. MIT gives you these things, right?
Nice metal.
But anyway, so you remember if they just say if a candidate ever says I just want your vote, you have to correct them. You have to say you have to ask for the number 1 vote.
Oh,
Right?
right. That's a good
'Cause
point.
Just if somebody
Yeah.
gives you a number 15, that's like saying goodbye, right?
Right. Except most people that are new to these kinds of elections will probably just vote for their favorite candidate.
Yeah.
And that's it. So they'll still get
Right,
their
and,
number 1.
and there is a
Yeah.
level of transiency in the city, so there are some voters who are relatively new who are not going to understand the ranked choice voting. Though ranked choice voting is getting a lot of
It
airplay
is.
around the country, so
Definitely.
maybe
Yeah,
they're
there's a big push.
not going to be too shocked about it. But
All right, I'm going to ask a stupid question. I know you're supposed to put X, right? Not
an
one.
X, what?
Yeah, under like one, the candidate, right?
No,
Or you
no,
put
no,
one
no,
to
no.
you actually number it?
It's the bubble chart. So you
Right.
basically
Well, I guess that's what I meant.
you fill in the
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Right. So it's not like a square where someone would put 1
right.
and then
so
a
it's
2
like
and then a 3.
like
and
taking
a 4.
the SAT test, but
Well, what
easier.
if they did do that? What if they put 1, 2, 3? What
It
if they
wouldn't.
did?
It wouldn't matter. I think the
Wouldn't they
threshold.
count that though?
They would, but the thing is that the way it works,
Yeah.
and again, I don't know about the new machinery because this is the first time we're doing the municipal election with the new voting machines. But the old Mark Sense ballots and the AccuVote
Yeah.
scanners. Am I sounding too technical?
No, I didn't
Little
know.
bit.
But it's still the
But-
ballot will look the same. Though. It'll still be still
Yes,
in
it should.
bubble.
It should look about the same, right?
Okay.
Except that you'll be limited to up to 15
Right, that-
choices
right.
for the city
But it's
council
still
race.
color in the.
Yeah, but the thing is that the way the sensitivity worked, that even if you just sort of put a little line through
It would mark it.
I think the threshold was if about 30% of the bubble was filled in, that would probably be enough to.
Oh, but it cannot
to
read
note
a
it.
number.
If the number, if you
Uh-oh.
put an 8 and there was a lot of ink in the middle of there, it probably would see that. But if you just put a little dot through there, it might not see it. So you really should fill in the whole oval. That's the rule. Don't mark numbers, just fill them in appropriately.
But how do they? But the numbers are on top.
Right, so you see it's,
1, 2.
first column, right, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Because somebody might just go down one column and mark the numbers.
And if they do that, then
Then it's-
overvote, and then
they're
the
disqualified.
machine will give you an error message when you go to
Oh,
scan
and
it
so
in.
they'll know.
And
Okay,
then
that's
you'll-
right.
The
They get a
election
chance to
worker
correct it.
will give it back and say to you, we think you've made an error of a vertical overvote here. This is how you're supposed
Is
to
that
vote.
the only way it would kick it back? It wouldn't kick it
No,
back if you
there
did
are
the
other.
number?
There are other. No, actually, if you miss some rankings or if you put numbers, as long as it saw something that was readable, it
Yeah.
would treat it as a valid ballot.
Oh, it would.
Even if in fact there were errors on it because
Oh.
it didn't pick up because it didn't have enough ink. So
Oh.
the wise voter fills in the oval.
The wise voter understands the system before they go in
The
there.
wise voter votes Robert Winters. No,
No,
just kidding.
stop
Just
that.
kidding. I'm not really. It's just a joke. It's a joke.
No, but seriously, I think PR needs to be
You know,
understood.
it's not that hard to understand, but it does need to be explained. And I think
Yeah.
the Election Commission will send out something,
Mm.
you know, but it's not going to send out a voter guide with all the candidates' positions on this, that, and the other
But
thing.
not every renter gets that. I mean, you know,
They're
people
supposed
that
to.
are,
I think, well, all the registered voters are supposed to get it.
oh,
So,
that's true. You have to be
though,
registered.
you know, I am assuming they're going to be doing that again this year, but I actually
Mm.
haven't talked to them about that, so I
Okay.
just assume that. By the way, just mentioned, since I got an update of the registered voter list the other day,
Yeah.
that as of my most recent one, which is earlier, you know, maybe a week or so ago, there were 67,762 registered voters in
Oh,
Cambridge.
that's a lot.
It is a lot, but the thing is
Considering not
that,
many of them vote.
well, I mean, you know, you could get 50,000 plus in a federal election, but the thing
And
is,
some of those people could have moved.
and some of these people will
Right.
have moved,
Right.
to be sure. So there'll be some who are listed as active, some inactive, but inactive might just mean we haven't bothered to vote in a while, but you're still around.
Yeah.
You know, so you can't really say for sure how many active voters.
When
are.
can you go in and vote as absentee? Because you can do that without.
I don't know when the absentee
Actually,
ballot.
I just read that. I think
Yeah.
the Friday before you can go in, maybe the Thursday.
Yeah, but yeah, you can request absentee ballots.
No, but you can actually go into the election commission.
You can actually
I think the
vote
week
absentee
before.
at election
Right,
commission.
which I'm
Yeah.
planning to do.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you know, so anyway, I have a lot of that information in in my
Yes.
election calendar, all the deadlines for all that type of stuff as
do.
well. I did, you know, I always have voter history records going back to 1997. So
You can
quiz
shame us all.
quiz question. No, I'll give you two quizzes. First
All
quiz
right.
question is, how many people haven't missed a single of all of these 67,760
Yeah.
voters? How many of them have not missed a single not missing a single citywide election? That's municipal, federal, primaries, you name it, right?
25.
In since 1997. Nope.
25.
Actually, most people overshoot. You undershot.
Oh.
It's actually a 112.
Ah, I thought.
And I know
because
most
I
of them.
remember seeing. You know most.
I'm one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know you
yeah.
were. Yeah.
But now here's an easier criteria. You
Yeah.
know, so what I did is I said how about only all the November elections, you know, from like 2000
Oh, so not
until
special elections.
yeah,
the
and then
primaries.
only the recent
Yeah,
primary. So about
okay.
23 elections if you cut it down instead of 30 some odd down to 20 some odd.
Would I be in that group?
Might be. I didn't bother
Yeah.
to check, but the thing is, then it's up to 1,439 of them.
It's because I know that I have
Super
voted.
voters.
Well, let's see, 97. I think I have. I know I purposely missed the Kerry primary, something with primary with Kerry. It was like a no contest thing.
Yeah.
I do miss some of the no contest ones.
Yeah, I'm kind of compulsive about it.
Yeah, well, you have to keep up your record.
Yeah,
You're
sure.
Mr. Politics.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, anyway, we should get on to some other things, but I just want to say it was kind of fun on Sunday. They had
Oh, you did the boat
the
ride. Yeah. I was out
Cambridge
of
Bike
town.
Committee they sponsor a spring ride and a fall ride every year.
I did the
and
spring one this year.
Yeah, and this one was the bow tie ride because Cambridge is shaped like a bow tie.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. And
Well, they're always called the bow tie rides.
but the
No?
thing is, some of them are
They do a different
themed.
route.
Yeah,
Oh,
so there
right,
will
but
be a
it seemed
ride
to
of-
like they go both sides of
Yeah,
Cambridge.
we did one of Cambridge political history.
Yeah.
I narrated about 3 different
Yeah.
sites. We did one on transportation.
Yeah.
You know, so I talked about canals. I think that one.
The last
and,
one I went on, there really wasn't any narration. It was just basically a ride. That was the
Yeah,
spring one.
yeah, but
It's
you know, so
just
they
as well,
typically alternate between thematic ones and then just bow tie rides. So
I see.
so anyway, it was fun, good time. So and speaking of bike rides, this Saturday, if you feel industrious,
Not in
there's
town again.
there is a about 33-mile
Oh, I heard
ride.
Craig Kelly talk
Cycle
about that.
to the source. So if you
Oh,
if
yeah. That's 33 miles, though.
you,
But
33
you can
miles.
shorten it,
If
I
you start at
guess.
8:30 a.m. at
Oof.
Saturday, September 28th, up at the water
Ooh.
treatment plant,
Ooh.
you can do the ride. It's pretty much an all-day thing. I don't think it's
Yeah.
fast-paced, but I
No,
think it is
33
an all-day.
is an all-day thing.
Yeah, because and they go out to the watershed,
Yeah.
you know, and check out the
Yeah.
reservoirs, aqueducts, and you know, it's actually a pretty good educational thing to do if you're up to it. I don't know
But
if I'm
how?
up to it.
But on what roads do they go? Because obviously that's not going to be escorted by
done
the
it.
police.
But I haven't
There's
done
not
it.
many bike lanes around there, is there?
No, but the thing is, there are a lot of roads that are very, very nice, ample shoulders.
Because if we get
they're
enough
not
people,
congested.
that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, but there's a lot of roads that are actually really kind of good to go riding on.
Maybe
out there.
someday I'll do that.
So Yeah, I think I may skip it. I was going, am I up to this? Am I up to this?
33 is a lot of miles.
I did the Middlesex Canal bike ride, which is more, starting from
Is it pretty
Sullivan
flat?
Square, Charlestown, up to Lowell.
But is it flat?
No, it's not. It's
Oh.
actually flat parts of it, but not all of it.
Oh, that good. But if you go, that's true. If you're not pushing it, you can probably do
Yeah, at least the advantage of doing the Middlesex Canal one is if you get tired, you can bail out at Wilmington or you can bail out at Billerica. You don't have to go all the
I
way.
bet there's places you can bail out. Or
Maybe.
park your car somewhere. I don't know.
Possible, yeah. Anyway, so those are some fun things to do. Now, we did have a city council meeting last night, and we actually had some other interesting things over the past week. That
Oh, there
are
were
in
a
the
lot of, there was like
civic
double duty
political
meetings
world.
last week with cannabis
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Sullivan Courthouse.
So the
Oh,
just
that was
to-
Thursday.
I guess we could maybe
Wednesday.
give a little
Yeah.
bit of a summary of that.
Yeah.
Now, I may have a missing detail or two here because I was looking around the city site to see if I could download the final documents of some of these things, and it was a little tricky. They did have a copy of the final amended version of the Cannabis Business
Yes.
Ordinance that they did
Yeah.
vote on Monday, yesterday.
Right.
But the one that was actually the most heated, actually, they were both pretty heated, quite honestly.
Well,
But
you're talking about
depending on,
Sullivan?
yeah, so the First Street garage parking disposition, which was at least depending on your point of view, kind of a pivotal piece for to allow the development of the old Sullivan Courthouse at 40 Thorndike Street to proceed. So the meeting of the previous Monday had been recessed, and then they reconvened this past Wednesday,
Right in the afternoon.
the 18th. And it was put to a vote, and it was
Well,
very
after Symbol's amendment.
right. So the thing
changes,
is that there was,
conditions.
yeah. So there was some. I mean, some people were portraying it as though something amendments were just being introduced on the floor, and honestly, the way these usually work, and I can't say for sure I wasn't there, but there's a lot of discussion that goes on
Absolutely.
between
You-
councilors.
You
and
know that
whatever.
was happening, and as long as it wasn't.
And then
Yeah.
there's the vote in the back and forth is sort of the public sort of theatrical part of that, but in the end, usually these things are worked out for
Well,
feasibility in advance.
Also, because it seemed like who was it? Galluccio. And
Anthony
they
Galluccio
all
was-
Galluccio.
was
They all
representing
seemed
Lecca McCall.
like they knew that this was coming, and it was all yes. We'll present this to the planning board, and it was like okay,
Yeah.
it wasn't a lot of pushback.
There was a lot, you're right. So it actually kind of got
Obviously, it
breezed
had
through.
been.
But going into that, those of us who weren't
yeah.
in the know,
No,
it wasn't clear
seemed
that
to be very contentious.
they needed
yeah.
6 votes, 2/3 supermajority to do a
Mm-hmm.
disposition of public leasehold arrangement
Mm-hmm.
for the parking spaces. So I think, again, I'm going to miss a detail or two,
Yeah.
but basically, and the public face of the proposal was Sumbul Siddiqui, who was saying that there should be, instead of 20 or 24 units of
48,
affordable housing,
which is
they
a
would
lot.
double it.
Right.
Personally, I think I'm a little uncomfortable with the mix in the building, but hey, it was negotiation.
Well,
And
do you think the neighbors, some of the neighbors who didn't want this, are going to say, "Well, where are those people going to park their cars?" Because if it's, I mean,
but
I don't-
those are
I mean,
some of
yeah.
the same neighbors who just
I know,
wanted to
who
block
don't-
the courthouse development.
Period.
They
That's
seem to be signing
Yeah.
on to the Connolly nonsense about
Oh, really?
making it 100%
Well, that's true.
housing, which would have
increased even more need for parking.
Right, exactly. So
Okay, all right.
So anyway,
All right, all right.
the theater is theater, voting is voting, and they
I thought it
vote-
was very strategic.
So it
was
went as a
good.
6-3
Yeah.
vote. The no votes were
Carlone, Zondervan, and Devereaux.
and Devereaux. And it was kind of interesting because now some of the people were not only in that, but also in regard to the recent vote on the affordable housing, the non-vote, the
Oh,
tabling
right.
of affordable housing
Yes.
overlay. People are making hay out of the fact that this Our Revolution group and the Bernie Sanders helicoptering in for this special endorsement 2 years ago, that somehow these revolution characters were the ones who are now being portrayed as anti-affordable housing or pro-development or not pro-development, but
Well-
they wanted to leave the courthouse vacant for another 10 years. Anyway, people are trying to make a lot of political hay out of this. So I think that's all craziness because really a vote is just a vote. And
Well, what I like about it is that, I think people saw Sumbul Siddiqui when she first came out. Okay, she's always going to vote this way. Well, it isn't that way.
No, I think she's her own person.
She is her own
Yeah,
person, and
yeah.
I listened to their podcast, Alana Mallon and Sumbul do the podcast, and she said her mail has been running, some people hate her, some people like her, which, they say that about a
That's what
movie.
happens.
If half the people like half the people, that means you're doing a good thing, I guess.
I actually think that's correct. And
I
I
know,
think
yeah.
any elected official at any
Exactly.
level
Should not
who
be.
continues to
Right.
do just what they thought they were going to do
Right.
without any possibility of
Right.
modification, this person
It's
shouldn't
not
be an
doing
elected
their
official.
job, right?
Right. You
Okay.
should grow in the job and you
Yeah.
learn new things.
And you take risks, and maybe you just, you are your own person, but you still,
But you basically find out things maybe you didn't know when you were running for
Right.
office, and then you act with greater wisdom
Yeah.
accordingly.
You have to,
Yeah. So
that was interesting.
so in the end, it was a 6-3 vote to do that. I think there's one little technical bit, which is that technically they have to amend. Oh yeah, another part of it was that they
What?
reduced the amount of. They would seek to
25
reduce the
spaces.
number of parking
Wasn't it by
spaces they were
25?
seeking. I think it
Only
was
20?
actually more,
Or
but
maybe more, I'm
so
thinking
instead
of
of
the units. You're
420,
right.
dropping it down like 100
Oh, it's by
some odd.
125. I
something
think.
like that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I think, then the planning board has to sign off on it because they had signed off on a
And there's a
particular
third thing, too.
understanding.
Daycare center, but they already had talked to the East End
Yeah,
House.
but honestly,
yeah.
that's just a little icing on
Yeah.
the cake, really.
Yeah.
Basically,
It
the
was
real deal was just that, okay,
parking,
some
yeah.
arrangement has apparently been made and voted that will
Mm-hmm.
allow the, the renovation, the asbestos remediation, all the things for the courthouse, and, so we don't have to keep debating this for another 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really.
So, for better or worse,
Yeah.
let's move on and, and live with what's happened, right? Now, the other big thing was, I think that
What?
same day, last Wednesday, they had
cannabis.
the ordinance committee about the cannabis business, the ordinance proposal. And they basically chose, I'm not going to claim the total expertise on this, but basically, I think it was some variation of the Zondervan Siddiqui amended
Variation,
version
what?
of it.
Well,
I mean,
whatever it was their.
I'm only saying that
decision.
because there were
It was
other
their-
amendments thrown in there as well along the road. But the one that sort of led to all the controversy and
Denise.
and
Yeah.
real ugliness was there was also a Denise Simmons amendment, and then there was the citywide mailing. We talked about this last week here, which was vicious.
Well,
Attacking.
there were two mailings. The one, right, that attacked her, calling her a slaveholder.
Making
I don't know.
making
it would
reference
be like
to
a slave
her
amendment. Yeah.
as the slave amendment,
Yeah, which
right?
is crazy.
Right, and
Yeah.
honestly, the person with dirt on his hands is Richard Harding. Let's be clear about that. And so when it came to a vote last night at City Council meeting to do this, and by the way, this is not absolutely free of potential litigation.
Right.
Still.
Right.
Because, but let's
Yeah.
give the details. So the vote went 7-4, 0 against, and 2 abstain.
Present, right.
2 voted present, right?
Tim
That was Tim
Toomey
Toomey and Denise Simmons. And and I think Denise made a statement about it, pretty much explaining why she wasn't going to vote for this. It wasn't that she disagreed with it, but the thing is she really was anticipating further legal challenges as a result of this.
She said, I hope this does work out. I hope I'm proven wrong.
Yes,
But
yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, that was interesting. Let's say. And
I'm still confused by economic empowerment. I was looking at the definitions versus social justice, which includes women and such. I mean, I don't know. You have to be from Cambridge, not from Cambridge. It just really is confusing to me.
I mean,
I
I
just don't get
completely appreciate the intention
Yeah.
of giving a head start.
Right.
Basically, the
And we're
deal
the only
was
ones
is
that
that
have done this.
I think the primary feature of this ordinance is they're going to give a head
2-year
start.
head start.
So
Right.
that the people who are the big rollers, who are the ones who are behind the medical marijuana
Who
dispensaries.
could
They
already just go right in and
fully
sell the
vertically
co-locate,
integrated. They
the
make
new
it,
word,
they
co-locate.
process it, they sell
Yeah.
it, they market it,
Right.
they ship it, they do it all.
Revolutionary Clinics is the most
is
well
sort of a
known.
big
They're the
one.
ones that have leased the
Right.
old Blockbuster space.
Yeah. So the thing is so they would basically be blacked out for 2 years so that they couldn't be selling the
And
recreational.
essentially, the Simmons Amendment would have not done that. Would have allowed
I think that
money to be given to economic
support
empowerment
the
from
economic
these
environment.
businesses.
And I have to
but
say
then
that,
that was told maybe
but-
that would be challenged because it would be like,
you know,
I don't
honestly,
know.
the city doesn't have the authority to tax without the approval
Well, no,
of the
that
state
wasn't a
legislature.
tax. It was an outright.
No, if you say
Yeah.
you must contribute money to this, right?
Oh, was it a
And
must
you're-
contribute?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, there was some argument. I think Nancy
qu-
Glow, the city
Yeah,
solicitor,
no,
sort
you're
of
right.
brought up the point
Okay.
about that. Well, there may be some sort of way of doing it as a voluntary contribution, but how would you enforce
Right.
it?
Okay. Yeah.
You know. So anyway,
confusing.
so they voted something, and now they're all patting themselves on the back and putting out press releases. Half of the councilors are already saying, "Look, we're the groundbreaking
Well, there are a lot of
city of
people,
Cambridge."
a lot of people of color testifying, thanking the council for
Yeah.
doing something which is Cambridge
Listen,
compared to legalizing gay marriage. And,
Yeah,
know.
I completely
Yeah.
agree with the intention. You know,
Let's just
it's
see
just
how
that
it all works out.
I've always,
The players
I will-
are a little bit.
I am forever skeptical of people basically trying to put all their hands on all the control knobs of economics to sort of say we're gonna.
Well, you know what I feel is
Choose it
sad
all.
about this is that what is this product that we're going to make billion? And apparently, people make lots of money from it. It's a drug. I mean, I know
Yeah.
it can be beneficial, but it really bothers me that
Well,
and gambling.
And of
I
course,
mean,
right. But then
This is what we're-
what most people would say in response to that is
Yeah.
that we've been selling alcohol for a long
yeah,
time.
but guess what? The black market in marijuana is still pretty high
Yeah,
in like
right.
California places because it's still cheaper.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of
You
how
know,
that's going
I
to
don't
work
know
here.
what's gonna
Is
happen
that
here.
a lot of these places
And
recreational?
federally, it's still
I know,
illegal.
I know. We're
most banks will not even.
we're wading
recognize
in
it.
very weird waters.
We are.
Yeah.
Anyway, all
yeah.
right.
So, but anyway, they
And
at
we
least
could have 3 places in Central Square.
I personally can't imagine that. I imagine that one of
580
them going to
Mesa,
get.
541, the old Harvest
I
Co-op,
don't
and then
think that the
Revolutionary
city or the
Clinics.
city manager is obliged to just
That's true.
grant it to everybody.
Right.
So I think
They'd have to choose, but
so
those are the 2 that were sort of
Maybe
fighting
it's-
each other, weren't they?
yeah,
The
and
Sean
I
Hope
think
gang
honestly,
and then the Richard
there was
Harding.
actually a third party in there too, but
Oh,
basically
okay.
there was one social equity applicant,
Yeah.
one economic empowerment applicant, and I think Harding was actually part of yet another
he's part-
consortium.
No. He's the economic empowerment.
No, but I think it
No?
was yet another one of them, right? Because
I don't know. I can't keep track.
anyway, they're trying to pick the winners. You know, that's
Yeah.
the way I've characterized it, and maybe it'll work out.
Is
and
it up to Louis?
Ultimately, I think you have to do
selection of
there's like a host agreement, community
Oh,
host
that all has
agreement,
to
but
be
then
worked out
the
now,
manager
yeah.
actually does have some authority that's part of the final approvals for this stuff. But one of the things, the way I look at this, honestly, because I have not been enjoying going up to the Sullivan Chamber. I have not enjoyed watching this viciousness amongst all
Oh, by
these
the way, you
various
could not
people.
watch it online last night.
Yeah, so that was
You had to
out.
watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you get to watch it?
I
It
turned
was
on
on
the
TV.
cable TV.
Right, but
to
if you don't have
watch it.
cable TV, you didn't see it because
Yeah,
there was some
yeah.
glitch.
Yeah, so I'm just glad that's done, and if it gets litigated, it'll get litigated. I'm glad the courthouse matter is done.
Yeah.
The overlay stuff, it's not really done. It's tabled, and it'll
Well, the
almost
big
certainly.
one now is the Alexandria,
come back.
The Grand Path.
I don't think that's a big
I don't
one,
know,
but the
it
thing
seems
is
to be.
that the controversy there, and I think most of the councilors made it quite clear at the meeting last night that everybody loved the idea of having some deal to facilitate this Grand Junction path, community path, with this overlay that's part of this deal with Alexandria. But the thing is that it was pretty conditional. There is a condition, sort of a promise made that they would
If they
work
don't
a
get
deal
thing
with
from
Eversource.
and Eversource has been given sort of a time limit.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thing is that if they can't actually make something happen in pretty short order, it's possible the council will just sort of kick it right back to the
Yeah.
ordinance committee, even though it's passed to a second
Yeah.
reading last night, and just let it die, and then they'll bring it up at a future date when they've resolved the Eversource matter.
Yeah.
So the council is using its leverage. I think it's using its leverage wisely. I mean, I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other about the substation really, but if in fact they feel this is something that they want located in a different location, then they're using the leverage that they have, and
Well,
we'll see how it
but
works out.
Alexandria, it's all conditioned on whether they contribute to the bike path, right?
Well, so that's their condition, right?
Right,
So the
but
thing
I'm
is,
just saying, it's all
right,
intertwined. It's
yeah,
not,
yeah, yeah.
they're almost two separate things.
Yeah,
in
but
a
I think
way.
ultimately, if they resolve the EverSource issue, then I think everything else
Yeah,
should sort
good
of be
luck
in
on
place
that
to
one.
do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting. Part of the bike ride, the bow tie ride, went right by that site.
Yeah.
So I hadn't actually seen it since it's just totally leveled and cleared. It's actually a big site.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, when Metropolitan Pipe was
Right.
there, you sort of just saw it as a building. But when the building's gone, you just saw
Very
it.
big. Yeah.
It's actually pretty big, yeah. So you know, we'll see how that shakes out, right? So there's one other. I'm just a small item, but for me, kind of an interesting one. There's a city council order, wasn't acted on because
We think it's always charter right. It's like,
Councilor Toomey
Councilor Toomey.
exercises his charter right for everything on the agenda, on the policy orders. But it was a pretty good order there. You know, for those
I
who
know
went
which
to the
one you
jazz
mean.
festival
Yeah,
up
or
at
beer
Danny
garden,
Park
yeah.
for the last couple of years, it was on the grass. It was really nice. They moved it over to the other side of the park because that's the only way they could be relatively close to where they wanted to run a beer garden, which is pretty good because it generates some money, right?
was there a beer garden?
And there was a
Oh, there
beer
was
garden, but it put them up on turf, like soccer turf, and it was like being on a skittle to fry eggs,
Because they didn't have a tent.
and everybody was running for the edges.
But
It
why
was
didn't they just
terrible.
have a tent, which they do at other beer gardens?
They have a tent over the. No, it wasn't the beer garden. That was actually outside on the grass. It was the festival itself was on
Was
the
it-
turf,
Oh.
and it wasn't great.
There was. I remember the only time I've gone.
So there's a city
thing,
council order
yeah.
from Jan Devereaux, really is where it came from, basically to say something which they do on the DCR properties, which is to allow the sale of alcohol and beer garden in city parks for special citywide events only, though. So it wouldn't be something anybody could just say, I want to sell beer
But
in
that is a
Danny.
city. That's not DCR.
No, it isn't. But DCR allows this
Yeah, I
currently,
know, I've seen
but
it.
the
It's
city
over
does
by,
not. So
I
this is
see.
who's calling on the city to do it. So, anyways,
good
great
order.
idea. I
Yeah.
hope it passes. So, anyway,
All
we'll
right, we'll see you in the
you
next segment.
on Cambridge Inside Out.